Hey guys, it's Jade. So today is Wednesday, July 3rd at a little bit before 10 p.m. I decided that I want to do a long weekend reading vlog because tomorrow is 4th of July. It's a national holiday, so I don't have to work tomorrow. And I also decided to go ahead and take Friday off of work, so I have a 4-day weekend, which I'm super excited about. And I'm hoping to get a good amount of reading done. I wanted to go ahead and open the reading vlog and tell you guys what I am currently reading. So the main book that I'm trying to finish by the end of the weekend is this book, The Mirror King by Jodi Meadows. I have been reading this book for way too long. I started it in early June. I was doing it as a buddy read with Caitlin Vanass and Trina from Between Chapters, but we all kind of fell off of reading it. I was reading a lot of books at once through June. I think I was never reading less than 3 books at once, and this is just the one that I was enjoying the least out of the ones that I was reading, so I kept getting pushed back, and I just never would pick it up. I did read about half of it. I guess I'm about 60% of the way through at this point. And I just need to buckle down and finish it. I'm not hating it, but I'm also not totally enjoying it either. It's not really holding my attention, which is why I have been struggling to read it. So I really want to buckle down and focus on this book and just get it done so that I can move on with my life. I guess I should say this is a YA high fantasy. It is the second book in a duology. The first book is The Orphan Queen, which I read in May. Yeah, in May. Another book that I'm currently reading is Half a King by Joe Abercrombie, and I just started this a few days ago. 3 days ago to be exact. And I'm doing this as a buddy read. This is my current buddy read. I am reading this with Julie from A Girl in a Book and Rachel from Shades of Orange. A couple months ago, I read the first book in the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, and I really enjoyed it. It was a 4-star read for me, and I'm definitely planning on continuing on in that series. I wasn't planning on picking up this series anytime soon. This is his YA series, but I saw that Rachel was going to read it and that Julie was going to read it with her, and I just wanted to join in on the fun. I love buddy reading things and I couldn't resist, and so I asked if I could join them too. This one I'm only making little bits of progress because we're doing it on a schedule. We're reading about 30 pages a day, so I'm going to be reading this every day, but not getting anywhere close to finishing it. So far, I'm enjoying it. I'm only about 90 pages in, so not a whole lot to go off of, but it's definitely really fast-paced, and the world is interesting. I hadn't realized this until I started reading it, but this is a Viking-inspired world, and there's definitely not enough Viking-inspired fantasy worlds out there, so I am excited about this one. And then the third book that I'm reading is Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay, which I am so excited to be finally reading. This book has been on my TBR, on my up next TBR for practically a year. So I'm glad that I finally got my butt into gear and I'm reading it. I am 30% through it. It's kind of a shorter book. And I don't know what I think of it yet. It's not totally gripping me. It's kind of got a slower start. The plot or the premise is very intriguing, but it's not exactly a page turner, which I kind of thought it was going to be. Although I will say I am mostly reading this in ebook format as I'm going to bed. It's my fall asleep book. So that's probably part of the reason why I feel it's not quite a page turner. But also the chapters are really, really long, and I am someone who tries really hard to stop reading at the end of a chapter. Even in the long chapters, there are some sections from different people's perspectives, which I don't understand why you don't just make each chapter a different perspective instead of having multiple perspectives in one chapter, especially when your chapters are so long. Anyways, I'm finding this intriguing, but not as gripping as I thought it would be. But I'm still very interested to see where this is going to go, and I'm hoping I like the way that it ends. If I can, I'd like to make a lot of progress on this one as well, and at least get close to finishing it. So as of this moment, those are the only 3 books that I'm reading, and I usually try to keep my books to 2 to 3 at a time. I try not to read more than that because then it just takes me so long to finish anything when I'm reading more than 3 books. But I need an audiobook, so I had been trying to listen to Half a King, my buddy read, this one on audio, but for some reason I am not getting along with the narrator. I can't exactly pinpoint it, but I'm just having this issue that sometimes I have where the words that the narrator is saying just like don't stay in my brain. They go in one ear and out the other. I'm just having a hard time retaining what he's saying. I'm not loving all of the accents that he's giving the characters, and just I'm really noticing that when I read the book physically, the characters sound very different in my head, and I'm not meshing with the audiobook for this. So I'm going to stick with just reading this physically, and I need another audiobook, and I'm not listening to the other 2 books on audio. So I'm going to pick up the next book in the Black Prism series. That's not what it's called. The next book in the Lightbringer series by Brent Weeks, which is called The Blinding Knife. I have this on ebook, and I also was able to get the audiobook from Scribd, and so I'm going to be mostly listening to it on audio. This is going to be a semi-buddy read with Murphy from Murphy Napier, because we read the first book together, and I'm also going to be chatting about it with my friend Graf because he just finished the first book too. I'm also planning to do a book diary for this one because I didn't do one for the first book, and after I finished reading the first book, I kind of regretted that because the first book had so many like cool reveals and twists and things that would have been really fun to talk about in a book diary format. So I don't want to make that mistake again, and I'm going to film a book diary for the second one. Okay, so those are my reading plans for this weekend. I've already talked way too much in this introduction, so I will check in with you guys after I've read some stuff. Bye. Hey guys, so it's a little after 7 p.m. on Friday, July 5th, so I didn't check in at all yesterday on the 4th of July. I did take some clips throughout the day. Justin and I went to a little pool party with some of our friends, and I did bring my Kindle with me. I wasn't sure if I was going to get any reading in, and while I didn't get in a lot of reading, I did get a little bit of time to myself to read. So on my Kindle, I was reading this book, Cabin at the End of the World, and I am now this far into it, so I've read this much. I believe that's a little less than 45% in, like 42%, I think. And the first 40%, I was like really struggling. I mean, I was interested in what was happening, but it wasn't really holding my attention very much. Now, finally, after about the 40% mark, some really interesting things are happening, and I'm excited to get back to this later tonight when I'm going to bed. So that's really the only thing that I read yesterday. I didn't even read my section of Half a King for the buddy read that I'm doing. So this morning when I woke up, the first thing that I did was read 2 sections of this. So the section I was supposed to read yesterday and the section I was supposed to read today. And I'm really enjoying this book. It's definitely really fast-paced, but it's been a lot of fun so far. And what I just finished doing was reading a couple sections in The Mirror King. I want to try to finish this by the time the weekend is over, and since I didn't read any of this yesterday, I read 2 sections in it today. These are just sections that I've tabbed out. I think each section is about 40 pages, so I read roughly 80 pages in the last, like, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours. I was kind of like reading and playing with my dogs off and on. I have been really struggling with this book, and that's part of the reason why I made it a goal to try and finish it by the end of the weekend. These last 80 pages were definitely not all that interesting, but something interesting happened at the end of the chapter that I just finished, so that's good. But yeah, I'm hoping to read more of this tomorrow and Sunday and finish it. I have 3 sections left, so if I can read like 2 sections tomorrow and 1 on Sunday, or maybe the other way around. Either way, I'm glad I made some progress on this today. Oh, I guess I didn't mention that on Wednesday night, after I'd already filmed my clip, I did listen a little bit to The Black Prison by Brent Weeks, and I'm about 5% into it, and that one's great. Obviously, I'm not very far into it, but I'm happy to be back in this world and with these characters, and I'm excited to see where that story's going to go. I'm hoping to read more of that tomorrow, but I'll update you when that actually happens. I'm feeling a little bit readinged out at the moment, so I don't feel like reading much for the rest of the night. I will read a little bit before I go to bed just because that's what I always do, and that'll be in the cabin at the end of the world. But I think between now and bedtime, 1, I need to eat dinner, but 2, I think what I'm going to do is play a little bit of a video game. I don't play video games very often, but I do enjoy playing video games occasionally. And it's just been quite a while since I've had a chance to sit down and play anything, and since this is a long weekend, I feel like I have the time, I have the itch, so I think tonight I'm going to sit down and play a little bit. Alright, I will check in with you guys tomorrow when I've done some more reading. Bye. Hey guys, so it is Sunday at about 8:30 p.m. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this vlog. I don't think a whole lot more reading is gonna happen tonight except right before I go to bed. The last time I checked in was on Friday. I didn't check in yesterday on Saturday, honestly, because I didn't do a whole lot of reading. I did a whole lot of adulting. I did things like pay my bills and do laundry and pick up around the house. I did listen to a little bit of Lightbringer while I was doing some of those things like laundry and picking up the house, so that's good. And I listened a little bit more today as well, so as of right now, I am about 17% through Lightbringer, and considering I just started that on Thursday night, I think, I'd say that's pretty good for a weekend, because I think that book is pretty long, although I don't have a physical copy of it, so I'm not sure off the top of my head. I have been staying on top of my buddy read for Half a King, and that's going really well. I am about halfway through it right now, and I'm really enjoying that book. I actually think I'm enjoying it more than The Blade itself, which I wasn't expecting. What else am I currently reading? Oh yeah, Cabin at the End of the World. I've made very little progress on that. I've been reading that mostly right before I go to bed, and I just haven't been making it very far before I fall asleep. I think the last time I checked in, I said that around the 40% mark things got a little more interesting, and that's still true. I just haven't read very much more. I'm hoping to make more progress on that in the coming week. It's not that long of a book, so I feel like I should be finishing it next week. And then my main goal for this long weekend was to finish reading The Mirror King. I didn't actually sit down and read any of it yesterday because after all of that adulting, I wanted to get back to playing my video game again, which I started doing on Friday, and I've played Friday, Saturday, and today too. Yesterday, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna play for 2 hours, and I ended up playing for more like 3.5. Almost 4 hours, and then after that I needed to film a video, so I didn't get around to reading The Mirror King yesterday. So today I sat down and read like 150 pages in one go. I have it here with me. This is a very chunky book. It's like over 500 pages, I think like 530. And man, those last 130, 150 pages were a rough go for me. So I ended up giving this 2 stars. I really struggled with this book. Honestly, I probably shouldn't have picked it up because I struggled with the first book. I gave the first book 3 stars, but only because of like the way that it ended, and the romance at the end got me really interested. But that was definitely a 2.5 star book that I rounded up to 3 by the end of it. And because I was so interested in the romance and the world building, I really wanted to know what happened next. I went ahead and picked up the next book, and I'm definitely regretting it now because this one was a struggle to get through, and I probably just should have DNF'd it at some point. But I just really wanted to know what was going to happen, and I wanted to see my ship sail. But in the end, it was just really disappointing, and I really struggled with it. There's so many other books that I'm enjoying more that this was always the last one to get picked up. And so I really had to like force myself today to sit down and finish it. I'll go into more detail about the things that I liked and didn't like about this book in my wrap up. But yeah, it was kind of a bummer. I was really hoping to like this, and it just didn't work out. I think those are all the reading updates I have for you guys. I did not keep track of how many pages I was reading at all, so I have no idea. I think I read more than I normally do in like 3 or 4 days. A lot of times just knowing that I'm vlogging really motivates me to set aside more time to read. Although with the holiday, I was definitely socializing more than normal, and because I was on this video game kick, that definitely took away some reading time too. But despite all that, I feel like I got a decent amount read. At least I finished this dang book, and I can move on with my life. I hope you guys had a really great 4th of July, if that's something that you celebrate. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you like bookish content. That is all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bookworms, keep reading. Bye.